let's say, for example, we're talking of a section, let's say section XYZ, and you do know it from your perspective. But then, like, I feel like they trick you, and like it's like they'll give you a company instead of an individual, even though I may know 30%, but I know that in the test, it's going to come from someone else's perspective. And it's going to throw me off again. And then I'll be limited to that 30%.
Totally valid. And again, it comes from exactly the same place, which is we don't understand how learning works. What you're saying and what you're trying to go back to is once I know stuff, once I know it, then I will always be able to use it. I'll get it right first time, every time. And that's how I know that I know my stuff, is because when you give me a question, whatever that question is, I have the answer. There it is. Like, I know the answer. So that's what we're aiming towards, is like, if you give me a question, I'm doing okay if I know the answer.
Okay.
I need to know the answer. Okay, fine. So I kind of call that, it's the difference between problem matching and problem solving. So we used to learn, or we've always learned by problem matching, which is, if I've done 4 questions and question number 5 will look similar enough to questions 1 to 4 that in my little database of solutions, I will be able to pick that out and use it. So when we're doing stuff and you look at questions, what your brain is trying to do is go, trigger. Oh yeah, that's that. And you open the little filing cabinet in your mind and you go, there's the answer. And that's what we're aiming towards. So what you're trying to do in questions is match to something you've done before.
Yes, something familiar.
Something familiar.
Yes.
And now they're going, yeah, that's not what we're trying to do here, which is why you feel like it's a trick, because you're like, nothing in my filing cabinet looks like this, and now I don't know what to do. This is not fair, because we've been kind of taught to believe that the way we should be taught is to give us a comprehensive filing cabinet. If I've done all my stuff, learning. Like if I've done, then I will have this beautiful filing cabinet, and whatever you give me, I will be able to pull from the filing cabinet. Fine. That's problem matching, right? Problem solving is, here's a problem you've never seen before. I want to know how you go about finding and creating a solution for this particular situation. And your tools are your knowledge base and your thinking skills, and I'm expecting you to take a look at your knowledge base, like your understanding of that section, and go and like, okay, that's the problem that you have. That's an accounting problem. So the knowledge base that I need to go back to is IFRS, for example. And then if I pick this apart, what you're trying to do is figure out how to recognize this thing. So my job is to kind of go, okay, of my knowledge base, which does this apply to? Like, where does this fit in? Okay, that looks and smells like an intangible asset, So let's talk about this now. I need to take my knowledge of intangible assets, my knowledge of whatever, and go, okay, this is my knowledge and this is what you're doing. So let me take a look at what you're doing and line them up and go, okay, that particular component of this, that's what you're doing. You're not quite doing it right. And then you're doing that, but actually the theory says you should be doing that. So you need to fix that. And that you're doing this, and the theory says, that you should be doing. So that's cool. And then that piece of theory is actually not relevant for you because that relates to something that you're not doing. So that's not relevant. The way that I talk about it with my students is the difference between, I kind of talk about it as crystal versus clay. What we do when we learn, and what you're doing when you're studying and learning, is you're building these beautiful crystal glasses and these beautiful crystal ornaments, Now they're gorgeous, and you spend an enormous amount of time polishing them, sanding them, creating, and I mean, they are like works of art, but you can't touch them. If I ask you to do something with them, you're like, okay, it's got to be very gentle, it's rigid, it's brittle, it's breakable, which means if I say to you, I need you to give me something, but I don't want a glass, I want a plate. Stupid example, but I don't want a glass, I want a plate. It's still crockery, but then you're kind of like, well, all I've got is this glass and I can't touch it. I can't change it. I can't do anything with it. And now I'm stuck because you want a plate. I have a glass. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to give you a glass. That's all I've got, right? The difference between that and learning your tools as clay, which is, this is what it is, this is how it works, this is how I manipulate it. And then when you look at your client's problem, when you look at the problem, you go, okay, what do you need me to build for you? Okay, you want a cat. Okay, let me take my clay, let me build it. Okay, it's a bit of a twitchy looking cat, but like it's a cat. At least it's not glass. You know, okay, you want a plate. Okay, let me take my clay, let me move it around. There it is. So the difference between how we've learned and, you know, where you're trying to go and what you're talking about in terms of like, you know, I don't have that knowledge and I don't know that stuff. It's not quite the same, because I need you to be building tools with your knowledge. I need you to be able to, what I need you to be able to do is say, okay, this particular thing, this particular section, this particular knowledge base, I'm going to have to use, it's the same company law. You know what I mean? Like it's the same company law for every company.
Yeah.
Every company uses the same law, right? So I need to be able, if my client comes in and says, you know, I have, you know, I work for a listed company, I work for a small company, I work for a little cafe down the corner, I work for retail, service, manufacturing, big, owner managed, you know, a dozen directors, one director. If your client comes in and says, this is my situation, I'm going to have to be able to say, it's the same damn section. But now, if you're a listed company and you're not a listed company, how would that look different? Does it look different? You know, okay, so we need a quorum in the directors, you know, in the directors meeting, we need a quorum, but you only have one director.
Yeah.
So now what do I do? In exams, my students will just, there needs to be a 75% quorum. So that, like, do you want me to cut myself in like quarters? Like, what do you want me to do with that information? I only have one director. Like, do I have to get another 3 so we can do this? You need to be able to realize, oh yeah, okay, so you need a quorum, but you are the quorum. You are the only director, so that's cool. You know, you are the only one who's making the decision. What we're used to doing and what we want unconsciously is like, you want me to say, this is the section, and this is how it works in a service organization. And this is how it works in manufacturing. And this is how it works in a big one. This is how it works in a small company. This is how it works in a listed company. And then in the exam, you can pick one of them and go, oh, this is a listed company. Okay, so I'll use that. Oh, okay. So, but I mean, think of the permutations.
Yeah, it's too many.
It's too many. I mean, it's impossible. Like, it cannot be done if you think of all of your knowledge. So what we're used to doing and the way that we're used to learning stuff is like, okay, give me the table. If this is what I'm doing, tell me how it can always be used in every different situation that you are ever going to ask me. And then that's why you're saying, like, it feels like they're tricking me because they're giving me this information and then they're asking it in a completely different way. And I can't reconcile those two. So now we're like, well, that's not fair. Why do we think it's not fair? Because we don't understand what learning is. We don't really understand what we're trying to do here.
Okay. Yeah. No, I understand that. No, thanks for clarifying that.